Daniel had never believed in love at first sight. He thought it was something people exaggerated about, something that belonged in novels and films, not real life. But that belief began to crumble the very first day he stepped into the city university. The campus was buzzing with energy, filled with students carrying books, rushing to classes, laughing with friends. Among them, he saw her, Sophia. She wasn't doing anything extraordinary, just sitting on a bench under the wide branches of an old tree, reading a book. But something about the way the sunlight filtered through her hair, the way she was lost in her own world, caught him and refused to let go. He told himself it was nothing, just a fleeting impression. Still, his eyes kept wandering back to her, as if they had a will of their own. Days turned into weeks, and he found himself looking for her in the crowd, spotting her in the library, sometimes across the cafeteria. It was as if the city had thousands of people, yet his heart had chosen to notice only her. When he finally gathered the courage to talk to her, it didn't go as smoothly as he imagined. He stumbled over his words, asking clumsily if she had finished the assignment for their literature class. She looked at him, amused but polite, and simply said she had. That was it. No sparks, no magical conversations, just a brief exchange. Yet Daniel walked away with his heart racing, as though something monumental had happened. Over time, fate seemed to conspire to bring them together. Group projects, study sessions, late nights in the library. Slowly, cautiously, a friendship formed. Sophia was brilliant, driven, and carried herself with a quiet confidence that drew people in. But beneath that, Daniel noticed a certain loneliness in her eyes, as if she carried burdens she rarely spoke about. He wanted to know more, to understand the pieces of her life that weren't visible to everyone else. One evening, after a particularly long study session, they walked out of the library together. The campus was almost empty, the lampposts casting long shadows on the pavement. Sophia hugged her books close, and for the first time, she opened up. She spoke about her family, how her parents were constantly pressuring her to excel, how she often felt suffocated by their expectations. Daniel listened intently, offering no judgment, only understanding. And in that quiet night, under the hum of streetlights, their bond deepened. But love stories in real life are rarely simple. As their friendship turned into something more late-night, phone calls, secret smiles across classrooms, the kind of laughter that makes the world feel lighter, obstacles began to emerge. Sophia's family was strict, traditional, and deeply skeptical of her forming close ties with anyone outside their circle. When they learned she was spending time with Daniel, they were quick to voice their disapproval. "You're here to study, not to waste time with distractions," her father told her one evening. "You can't afford to let emotions ruin your future." Sophia tried to protest, tried to explain that Daniel wasn't a distraction, that he was her support, her happiness. But her words fell on deaf ears. She was torn between her growing love for Daniel and the weight of her family's expectations. Daniel, too, faced his own challenges. He came from a modest background, far removed from the privileged life Sophia's family envisioned for her. He could feel the disapproval every time Sophia mentioned him. It gnawed at him, planting seeds of insecurity. Was he enough for her? Could love truly bridge the gap between their worlds? The tension grew, and misunderstandings began to creep in. Daniel sometimes withdrew, afraid of becoming a burden on Sophia. She, in turn, felt hurt by his distance, mistaking it for doubt in their relationship. Arguments that started small spiraled into painful silences. Yet no matter how strained things became, they always found their way back to each other, pulled by an invisible force that neither could resist. One night, after a particularly heated argument, Sophia ran to the rooftop of their university building, tears streaming down her face. Daniel followed her, his chest heavy with regret. When he found her staring at the city lights, he gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Why do we keep hurting each other?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "Because we're scared," Daniel admitted. "Scared of losing what we have. Scared of not being enough. But Sophia, you're the best part of my life. I don't care about the obstacles. I don't care what anyone says. I just want you. Her eyes glistened as she looked at him. And in that moment, amidst the city skyline, they kissed me as two students struggling against the world, but as two souls promising to fight for their love, no matter the cost. Yet deep down, both of them knew this was only the beginning. The world outside wasn't going to make it easy, but perhaps that was what made their love real. Not its perfection, but its resilience.